So it is April 14th, going into April 15th. Russia now controls one third of Ukraine. Everything from the back top of Donbass to Mariupol to Crimea to the Sea of Arzov. So, you know, as I said, man, I don't believe NATO should have started this. I believe NATO should have heeded the warnings that were given to them in 2014 and 2018, but NATO kept intervening. Um, I don't want anybody to die. I don't think killing people was a good response. But if, you know, if Russia was to put soldiers in Texas, America would have a problem with it. If Russia was to put soldiers in Alaska, America would have a problem with it. I mean, so I just don't think the soldiers over the past 2 years should have been in Ukraine. And I don't believe the NATO buildings that they created to house those soldiers while they were doing the training, claiming that it was uh, uh, American Coast Guard. That's what they claimed. It was American Coast Guard training the Ukrainians when actually, when you follow the money, NATO is the one who funded it. So, so it don't matter if it was the Coast Guard, as you claim, NATO funded it. So NATO shouldn't have been in Ukraine. So, but killing people should not be the response. But now Ukraine is one third occupied by Russia. They're not going to give it back. They're just not going to give it back. So you know, once they get to half of Russia, then I think we're going to see a different conversation. I think also NATO providing weapons um, is just going to prolong it. There's not enough people to fight it. There's not enough people to fight it, and if America joins, which again, Biden should have told NATO, like Trump told NATO, like Obama told NATO, keep them out. No, nobody in NATO is going to go over to Ukraine. Didn't happen under Obama, didn't happen under Trump. So I don't understand why Biden, allowed this to happen. It just makes no sense. He should have told, but anyway, so now they control a third, especially Crimea, which is more important than everything. Donbass more important than everything. Uh, Sorry if I'm mispronouncing these areas, but soon they'll be at half. Like I tell everybody, man, tomorrow will be the 14th, and I said, well, let's look at April 15th and see what happened. And even though the Kiev thing didn't happen, and I thought the Kiev thing was just really a sleight of hand. I don't think Kiev was really that important. I think Donbass was important. I think having the war at Kiev depleted the ability to go and support the real situation, which is the back half of Ukraine. That's that's more important to Russia than Kiev. Kiev is not that important, really, to be honest, because Belarus has Kiev in check on so many levels. So trying to do something with Kiev really makes no sense. Split it in half, and then once you split it in half, you end the war, and then over the next few years, you end up doing what Israel has done to Palestine. You end up taking over Ukraine anyway. You know, so you know, in the next 30 more days, man, 5/15, I expect them to have half of Ukraine, if not 2/3 of Ukraine. You can't prevent it. You can supply weapons all you want to. All it's going to do is create more Ukrainian deaths. The death should have never happened. The death should have never happened. Putin shouldn't have never fired in the first place. But, you know, that's neither here nor there, man. When you look at the NATO map, everything is pointed toward Russia. There's no NATO in Africa, Mexico. Uh, I don't even think China has nothing in NATO. I didn't see anything on NATO map for China, unless it was pointed at Russia. Everything is just pointed at Russia. Seems like NATO's whole function is just to point at Russia. It's a trip. It's a real trip. But we'll see how it goes from here. But like I told you guys, man, uh, I consider this. I consider this. I'm not gonna say too much because this is a public forum. But man, NATO should have never went in there. NATO was warned several times. Should have never went there. Told you in the 2014 speech. No, told you in the 2008 speech, the 2014 speech, and the 2018 speech. Still did it. So again, his reply should not have been deaths, Ukrainian deaths. I feel sorry for the people. Nobody should die. But geez, no. So we'll reevaluate this in another 30 days. I expect them to have half the country, if not. And mind you, this is only a 1/10 of Russia's force. This ain't even 25% of their force. This is a tenth of their force. Yeah, it's going to be strange how it ends, but it's going to end, and they're going to get half of it. Only because the math shows that there's not enough people left to fight it. You can keep supplying them weapons, but there's not enough people to fight it. And if you intervene, then yeah, that's World War III because you have no cause to intervene. If you're going to intervene, then you should be intervening with Palestine way before now. If that's the case, who's giving Palestine weapons? Hmm, interesting. But they're protecting themselves. Okay, that's what the Russians believe that they're doing. It's real unique. I mean, what's so funny is how every news thing, uh they're they're trying to paint it as if NATO did nothing wrong. That's the amazing thing to me. They're trying to paint it as if NATO did nothing wrong. And you know, NATO was in there training those people when they was warned several times not to. NATO was making buildings when they was warned not to. Hey, even under Bush Jr., NATO did way too much than they were supposed to do. And I'm gonna leave it at that. You do the research and tell me what you think after you've dug into the details. Peace.